out. Top Senate Republicans conducting their very own investigation. They have yet to secure testimony, they say, from Hunter Biden or his associates, which is pretty par for the course for Republicans investigating. Congressional sources close to the investigation, though, tell Fox News' Mike Emanuel they're focusing heavily on Hunter Biden's money trail. Joe Biden himself is unwilling to answer any questions about his son's legal troubles. In fact, he doesn't want to answer questions of any kind about anything. Here he is last night after a speech in Delaware.
President-elect, when did you find out your son is being investigated?
Thanks for the congratulations. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The silence of the Bidens comes as new polling shows a majority of Americans believe Joe Biden cashed in on his son's business ventures. Rasmussen finding that 56% of voters believe it's likely Joe Biden knew about and profited from Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings. 52% of voters also say the media ignored the Hunter Biden corruption scandal in order to help Joe Biden's campaign. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany today called out the corporate media for ignoring and censoring the Biden controversy before the election.
On October 15th, you had a New York Times headline that said, Trump said to be warned that he was being given Russian disinformation over Hunter Biden. Now, December 10th, just a few months later, New York Times headline, investigation of Hunter Biden is likely to hang over Biden as he takes office. Washington Post on October 16th, the headline read, the truth behind the Hunter Biden non-scandal. Now you have the Washington Post headline that says this, Hunter Biden tax probe examining Chinese business deals. Politico, October 19th, Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinformation. That's a favorite. Dozens of former intel officials say, false yet again. December 2nd, now Politico reads, Justice Department's interest in Hunter Biden covered more than taxes. Really interesting turn of events, and good for those who covered what was a story all along and not Russia disinformation.
Social media giants Facebook and Twitter also facing criticism, intense criticism, for their censorship of the Hunter Biden scandal. And their executives, it appears, had a vested interest in suppression of that story. An analysis of FEC records shows top executives at Facebook and Twitter donated tens of thousands of dollars to the Biden campaign. They donated nothing to President Trump's. All 18 Republican members of the House Oversight Committee today demanded a hearing to investigate Twitter and Facebook's unjustified censorship. Don't you love it when Republicans get tough? Our first guest this evening has new reporting on the Hunter Biden scandal. John Solomon reports that Joe Biden was warned in 2015 about his son's role on the board of Ukrainian gas firm Burisma. The Obama State Department believed the oligarch in charge of Burisma was corrupt and that their assumption had been backed up by evidence gathered by the Obama Department of Justice. Joining us now is John Solomon, editor-in-chief of Just the News, best-selling author. And this was the breaking story, the headline story this morning, just as you promised here last evening. Give us your sense you give us your sense, if you will, John. How could all of these media outlets on the left, and understandably, they're left-wing, they are what they are. How could they, with even a smattering of conscience, not cover those stories?
It is remarkable, and I think the only thing doing is ruining their own brands and letting the American people down when they pick winners and losers and stop sticking to neutral presentation of facts. The American public could have known so much more from so many more outlets before Election Day if reporters showed an ounce of curiosity, an ounce of bipartisanship, an ounce of neutrality. That's all it took to realize that the Hunter Biden story was a real story. People like myself and others who were reporting it were called conspiracy theorists or Russian disinformation artists. We were nothing but following the truth. And the truth is that Hunter Biden cashed in on his father's vice presidency. He may have evaded taxes and money. There's questions about about money laundering as well. And most importantly, the Obama-Biden people working in the field, in the State Department and the Justice Department, saw Hunter Biden's boss in Ukraine as corrupt, and they warned the vice president and his senior leadership in December of 15, which means when Joe Biden was at the debates in October and said, there's nothing there was never anything wrong going on, no one's ever said there was any wrongdoing, it was wrong. His own office was telling him his son was in business with someone they thought was corrupt.
It also means that when Joe Biden was caught on video, he wasn't really caught. He was sort of parading for video, bragging about the dismissal of the prosecutor, the Ukrainian prosecutor, who was looking into Burisma corruption. So there's just one corrupt act after another in this. Yeah. The inability of the Bidens to make a decision in 2015, the inability of William Barr to say, yes, there is an investigation, but we will be bringing no details. And by the way, John, why does it take the Justice Department 2 years to investigate with all of these records in front of them, many of which you have produced?
Yeah, it shouldn't take this long, except that politics slows the wheels of justice in Washington for those in power. I mean, there are two systems of justice, the Department of Justice for everyday Americans and the Department of Justice for insiders like Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, all the figures in the Russia case, that the FBI who got off easy while people like Mike Flynn and others were prosecuted with enormous speed and in some cases unfairness. It's a dual system of justice right now, and this exposes it. It's irrefutable.
Yeah, I'd just like to have one example of what was fair about his persecution. It wasn't a prosecution. They went after that man. They framed him, and they went after him for more than 4 years. We can't rewrite history here. What we have witnessed as a nation has been an assault on decency, on the American way, and on individual citizens, the likes of which we've never seen. And when people talk about conspiracy theories, what would we have called this if we didn't know if we hadn't lived through it? What would we call the idea that the FBI would be the tool of the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary campaign trying to crush Donald Trump before he could be elected president? Once he's elected, trying to unseat him from almost the moment he stepped into the Oval Office. The impeachment inquiries, the special counsel, all without cause, without evidence, and with exoneration for the president. And outright indictment should have been leveled against, as I think we would both agree, dozens of people involved in the Justice and FBI departments and agency.
Yeah, listen, you're right. One of the people that gets vindicated in this, remember what the Democrats said during impeachment. Donald Trump had no basis to inquire about Ukraine and Hunter Biden. We now know that Joe Biden's State Department reported 2 bribes that came in from Burisma, why Hunter Biden was on the board, and it now looks like Hunter Biden has a tax problem as well. There was good reason to ask for an inquiry of Hunter Biden a year ago. It shows what a sham the impeachment proceeding was. The president was right to ask for it, and now we're getting to see just how right he was.
And now there's an interesting spin on that, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow sending that $2.5 million to the Biden entity. That looks a lot like money laundering, doesn't it?
Well, one of the things that we reported a couple weeks ago, Lou, is that she was using Hunter Biden and his associates to get herself an American bank account. She couldn't get into the American banking system. And the emails between Hunter Biden and his colleagues were saying, she's flagged and we got to help her get in. So she certainly had an interest in accessing the American banking system at a time when she was on a watch list. Now the question is, was that inappropriate? Until we see all the facts, we won't know. But that's part of the reason why money laundering keeps getting uttered in the course of this investigation.
Yeah, it may not suit attorneys, but the fact is it looks a lot like that. Now we need to find out what it actually was. But then again, the president-elect assured us all that it had all been debunked and that there was nothing there. John Solomon, thanks for covering what is there. We appreciate it. Turning now to the latest in the battle for